Hey everyone, welcome to the 5 Beer Plan. I'm Brian, and this is the ongoing saga of an everyman sail trail. In this episode, I'll nibble on food pairings, share my favorite beer cheese recipe, talk with Spree from TRU Colors Brewing in Wilmington, North Carolina, and review Purple Punch from Hoosier Brewing Company. In this segment of Tales from the Trail, I want to dig into beer and food pairings. So after 6 months of podcasting, those who follow me know by now that I really enjoy beer. I've alluded to it as well, but I'm also a huge foodie. I love to cook, grill, smoke. It makes me super happy to put something together and put big smiles on the faces of my family and friends. It's yet another avenue of creativity I enjoy exploring. I think that's one of the reasons I love the brewpub concept so much. Each venue has its own twist on some sort of a pub favorite, whether it be pretzels and beer cheese, handhelds such as burgers or sandwiches, or even fish and chips. It's a rare thing to find a place that has the entire package. Great ambiance, solid beer, and unique eats. Getting one or two of these right is pretty easy to do, but honestly, I think having the right kind of food menu for the in-flight meal can really take the experience to a whole new level. We've come a long way from the American lager that fits with pretty much any kind of food you throw at it, as long as it's ice cold. So how do you approach beer and food pairings in the craft beer era? In my experience, there are a few guidelines that can help determine what to pair your beers with. The first guideline is that lighter beers such as Kolsch or lager pair well with delicate foods. The lighter beer won't overpower the food, but rather complement it. I would be inclined to pair a nice blonde ale with fish or chicken, which are not typically very strong flavored on their own. A great example would be a Mexican-style lager like Great Lakes Mexican lager with lime and fish tacos. The lightness of the fish was elevated by the lime finish on the beer. The second guideline is that in general, lighter beers pair well with spicy foods. Sometimes you just need something that will put out that fire without disrupting the flavors. Though it goes against what I just said, a great example is Hillsdale Brewing's Master Exploder Jalapeno IPA, which paired well with a pulled pork sandwich with a spicy barbecue, pepper jack cheese, and jalapenos on it. It was such a great combination. The beer had just a hint of jalapeno pepper flavor that complemented the sandwich really well and still kept the heat at bay. A third guideline would be for Scotch ales, stouts, or porters, which pair well with heavier grilled, smoked, and roasted meats. The grain bills typically used with this style of beer tend to lean towards smoky, roasted, or malt-forward notes. One of my favorite examples is Founder's Old Dirty Bastard Scotch Ale with a barbecue chicken or pulled pork sandwich. In this case, the sweet malty flavor of the beer just brings out the smokiness of the food. A fourth guideline is to pair milk stouts or pastry stouts with sweets. Again, I know this seems kind of crazy, but it's so true. I've mentioned in a previous podcast that Saugatuck Brewing's Neapolitan Milk Stout with a scoop of French vanilla ice cream is amazing. I recently enjoyed Duclaw's Fresh Batch S'mores Pastry Stout with some graham crackers and milk chocolate recently, just to prove it out. A final guideline is for pale ales or IPAs specifically, which I think go well with just about anything. Honestly, in the craft beer era, I think the IPA is the most versatile beer there is, especially since you can go to the sweeter, citrusy New England substyle, the bitter, hoppy West Coast substyle, or the classic American style, which can have all sorts of variations and adjuncts. In recent years, the craft beer industry is finally taking a page from the playbook of the wine industry in leveraging food. You see more and more brew pubs or breweries that are having special tasting nights or even multi-course meals paired with a number of their beers. It's a great way to break down some of the myths that beer is a one-dimensional beverage when it comes to food. It's worth another mention because Adroit Theory does such a great job of suggesting some pretty unique food and cheese pairings on their cans. Adroit's owner Mark is a self-professed foodie and puts a lot of time and research into helping his customers approach their beer on a whole new level. Just like everything else, the everyman tries a lot of different beer and food combinations. You never know when an unconventional pairing will work. Well, this week's Hot Pack is about my favorite beer cheese. If you're like me, you might use beer cheese as an indication of the creativity and quality of pub food. Some beer cheese is thick, some of it's thin. Some beer cheese is dark, some of it's light. No two beer cheeses are the same, and I'm always looking for ones made with beers on tap at the brewery. Since I do a fair amount of cooking and experimenting, it was only natural for me to want to make my own. To be honest, after making it a few times, it is really, really easy to do. The internet is great for finding anything. So at the point I wanted to take the dip, I looked for a simple recipe that contained some of the ingredients that I use most often in my cooking. The base recipe I personally use comes from sallysbakingaddiction.com. Search for beer cheese and you'll find it. I like it because it has 10 ingredients and takes only about 15 minutes to prepare. Clearly, cheese is at the center of the recipe. The best kind of cheese for the base is cheddar. I use something called a three-state mix that has white, aged, and sharp cheddar cheeses. Yours may be different, and that's fine. You always want to try to put your own personal spin on it. Beer is just as important, and without it, beer cheese just becomes cheese dip. Boring! So just like in food pairing, the lighter the beer, the more subtle the flavor. The darker the beer, the more malty the flavor. The first time I made beer cheese, I didn't plan very well. I used Moosehead Lager because that was the only non-NASCAR lager I could find at the carryout. It turned out to be quite a success with the family. Another time, I used Chaos Monger Imperial IPA from War Pigs, which gave it a lot more of a bold flavor. I even used Guinness Extra Stout once, but I usually try to save that for my cake recipe. There are really no wrong beers. However, keep in mind that since this is a savory dip, you may want to avoid fruity or sour beers. Milk, butter, and flour are critical for the base of the beer cheese. These form what's called a roux, spelled R-O-U-X. It's used to thicken sauces, soups, or casseroles. The roux determines how runny your beer cheese will be. Some additional key ingredients that enhance the flavor of the beer cheese are mustard, garlic powder, paprika, and salt. You might even want to add some ground chili or cayenne pepper for a spicy kick. Just keep your intended audience in mind. The final ingredient is Worcestershire sauce. This adds a little bit of acidity and flavor. Oh, and if you're really feeling saucy, bake up some homemade pretzel sticks or bites. Your family will love you. All right, well, welcome to Barstool Banter. I'm sitting down here with Spree from TRU Colors Brewing at their Wilmington, North Carolina location. Hey, Spree, thanks for joining me on the podcast.
Appreciate you, man. This is a huge opportunity for me to talk more about the mission and beers.
Yeah, I look forward to that. How long has TRU Colors been open there?
Well, we officially launched our True Light Lager last year, but we've kind of been a company for a while now, kind of probably like 4 years, going on 5 years. We were working on the social mission aspect of it and the model. Okay. And then we launched the beer last year, so now we're kind of brand new in with the beer launch.
I saw on your social media recently that you guys just opened a tap room. So that's pretty exciting. Right. So, yeah, is that also where you brew as well?
Yeah, we got a 60,000 square foot building in Wilmington, North Carolina. It has office spaces. It has like a employee dining area, and it has a tap room that we recently just opened and got like over 12 local taps, local breweries around Wilmington that's on tap. We got a gym in there also, and a major recording studio. And
wow, awesome.
Yeah, and like 2 classrooms for our Disrupt You onboarding is how we onboard gang into the company. We got actual brew house with fermentation tanks. It's just crazy, man, to be honest with you.
Oh, that's great. So John had sent me a couple cans of the True Light because he and I are beer pals. When I looked at that can and read what it said, I love the message of unity that it shows, and I'm just going to read what it says here. TRU Colors brings together members of the Bloods, Crips, and GDs to brew beer and end gang violence. Can you tell me a little bit more about the mission of TRU Colors?
Well, the mission started off as George heard about a 16-year-old getting murdered in our hometown. And to sum it up, he was an serial entrepreneur, and he ultimately wanted to do something about it, which led him to develop a relationship with the DA, which turned into relationships with members in the city, high-ranking members. And it was surrounding a conversation that George facilitated around coming up with an economic solution to curb gun violence, in which we all shared that same belief in him. If there was a way to stop it, it's ultimately opportunity, because we believe that the root causes of gun violence is economic and societal exclusion. So we got to common ground with George, and we ended up coming up with TRU Colors, and we've been building it. It's about 5 years now, and the mission is to really ultimately stop gun violence and create more opportunity to curb it.
That's pretty awesome. And that's a huge subject here in the U.S. at the moment. How many people have you brought through your program? I mean, how does it work? So let's just say that I would enter, into the TRU Colors program, ultimately working in the brewery. What would the steps be for that? I mean, what opportunities are there for someone coming in?
Well, you always got gang and non-gang, and onboarding is specifically for gang because we're dealing with a whole different issue with guys coming off the streets with lots of mental trauma or different situations where they need to go through this program that we specifically made, which is a more purpose-driven type, human experience that you can make making money sustainable. So we figured out a way to give these guys an experience to learn things like getting their credit right, opening themselves up to therapy, getting a car if you don't know how to get a car, how to establish a relationship with the bank, and just certain stuff like that, which we call the four core, which is like the prime of our program, which is the 8 week course. And they do something called Beyond the Block experiences as well, is how we build culture and how we, mind you, these guys are from opposing gangs at times. So you have to have experiences for them to build like chemistry and camaraderie. So they do stuff like kayaking and jumping out of planes and stuff like that together. So they end up becoming way closer towards the end of that 8 week program. And it's a tough vetting process because, this opportunity isn't just for anybody, and we know we're dealing with a very serious issue. So we
Yeah.
want people that's really ready to change. Even in the program, if you're a second late, they tell you to come back the next disrupt you, because we're very serious about what we're trying to do. But it's a great experience, and we do a lot of things together, and it's like a brotherhood. And when you get out of that, you go into a phase where you pick the departments that you would like to go into, and it kind of puts you on a progress plan to like take certifications or go to local colleges and continue your education and kind of grow you into that role with non-gang members who help you grow and learn as well into the leadership positions. So that's how they progress into an actual position into the company coming out of Disrupt You.
The whole mentoring aspect of that is really key, right? Coming side by side with those that are entering your Disrupt You program and walking them through things that they never walked through before, right?
It's big, man, because a lot of people coming out of these positions have limiting beliefs, and don't believe some at times they deserve opportunities. And coming from these communities, a lot of people share that mentality because it's so hard to make it out of the situation or see yourself making it out. We talk a lot about systematic issues that we have in place, and as great as this country is, it can be so much greater. Coming together, we can create a lot of opportunities and just change the narrative a little bit, so people know the real causes of gun violence and what's really happening in these communities.
Gang violence is a big problem then right there in Wilmington then, huh?
Yeah, it's not only Chicago, Atlanta, LA. You definitely got gang violence kind of getting to a point now in a lot of areas you wouldn't think. It's definitely something in Wilmington.
With my experience, a lot of times it seems like those that enter into whatever groups, whatever that may be, it's because they need some sort of acceptance. They need some sort of familial group that they can hang out with and feel like they're part of something. So I think that's really cool with the whole Disrupt You working through that you're helping, those men and women, feel like they're part of something, bigger than themselves, right?
Right. The thing is, a lot of people be wondering, well, why do you guys stay active? Because that's a big part of the whole mission. Because the way we see it is, we've thrown a lot of money at this issue throughout the years, and we know a lot of this is, I believe, post-slavery things that we still dealing with. So we try to be very transparent about things in this type culture. We talk about it all, and in order to really come up with a solution, you have to be honest, authentic, and truthful, as both parties really coming together and trying to figure out a solution. So a big part of that is our influence. our ability to still be, the leaders are in the games. So our ability to influence these kids is really key if we can redirect the energy and redirect the mentalities. And everybody knows that gangs, if you a real right blood, I'm a blood. It was a lot of positive stuff that for other reasons it just got redirected, and it's older guys is gone in prison, and that's a whole nother conversation about the prison system. The kids are out here with the rank, and they're just kids, ultimately. So a lot of the violence is these young guys thinking it's cool. So it's time to really redirect the energies and really what it's about and the principles, and get it back to the root of why it was started. So that's a big reason why we stay active, is our influence and our ability to change the guys within the set, which we've done because it's created a lot of opportunities just existing either from us or other companies that want to, okay, once we come there and meet you guys and we see, oh, you're not who we thought you were. And these guys are in here learning and succeeding, really doing these jobs. Maybe I can do something like this because we can't be the only ones doing it. It takes a village. We do a lot of partnerships and people understand, and I'm grateful for that because a lot of people are on board with us. So
That's fantastic. How is this mission? How's it been going for you with respect to, let's say, the size or the scale of the community? Is it something that that you see continuing to grow, continuing to expand past whatever area that you're in, and I mean, maybe you're thinking about taking this more of on a national level, moving it to other locations that could benefit from this. I mean, what is the plan for that down the road?
well, the plan is now to get this beer out, make sure this beer is successful, because without beer sales, it won't be able to sustain the company. So they're equally as important, the mission and the beer. So we trying to get this beer perfected, and got some partnerships, crazy partnerships coming up with some brand ambassadors and some
Cool.
big names I can't say right now, but it's going to be pretty big for us as far as expanding our beers and trying different beers and really telling our mission to a broader audience. So the plan is to create more opportunity in Wilmington right now, so we can drive down some of this violence here first, sell the beer, and take over North Carolina. And we're definitely looking to expand and franchise in other places, like I know Chicago. This changes though, because we're steady moving fast,
Yeah.
and we're figuring it out. And we travel a lot, we connecting the dots, and I'm sure we'll end up in the perfect place, soon.
Yeah, and I guess you really have to be careful about the expansion too. Be very intentional about it because it's got to be sustainable, just like you said.
That's the key. It's got to be a sustainable model, something people can replicate, and not just be beer, but can be anything, and create jobs in other places, and see that if you give opportunity to these kids, you will see the violence go down, because it's no jobs, there's no
Right.
knowledge, no and no education, and then that domino effects into a lot of series of issues like broken homes and all types of stuff. So
What do you credit the success you've had so far at TRU?
I got to give credit to the team, really, because we couldn't have made it nowhere near this far without collectively doing it. It takes unity, even if it was at first just members, because collectively we had to come together as members and take a huge step to do something that people had a lot of opinions about.
Sure.
For us even continuing to remain active and taking up the mantle to stop something, we had to educate a lot of people on why this approach. It was a tough ride. We couldn't have done it without each other, honestly. So I credit the team and everybody at TRU Colors, from gang to non-gang, white and black. We all family, and we've all learned so much, even being in that culture and working together and changing ourselves and breaking some barriers with ourselves personally and professionally. And we need more like companies like this with this type of mission.
No, I would agree with that, and I think humility is a huge thing too.
Mm-hmm.
Not thinking that that you're better than anyone else, but looking at everybody as fellow human beings. And my problems may not be the same as your problems, but we're still part of the
Still
same.
same human race, man. It's a,
Right.
it's a human experience.
Exactly.
And we got a lot of barriers to break down, personally, some systematic things to break down together. But unity is definitely the biggest takeaway I've got from this.
Have you personally gone through the program?
Oh yeah, I was wasn't one of the founders, but I was
Okay.
the first apprentice group created. I was the first guy selected, and I went through Disrupt You. It was a crazy experience. I mean, sitting down with guys, you would think, I used to be out there, Brian. I did
Okay.
federal time in prison.
Okay.
I always wanted to give back somehow, but when you coming up in the hood, you really don't see a way, and you living day by day, trying to make money the best way you can. So we all got aspirations we would always wanted to be in life, but it just don't work that way when you coming up with limited experiences and knowledge and opportunity. So um I went through I learned a lot to
Yeah.
to disrupt. Yeah, I learned a lot, and I was one of the first guys picked in the apprentice program.
Well, that's really cool, and I can tell. I mean, you're passionate about it, Spree. So that makes, I mean, it makes sense to me, why you're so passionate, because you yourself are part of the success story
All
of True
right,
Colors so far. I mean, it's
all right.
just beginning. So clearly it's changed you, but where do you see yourself, let's say, in 10 years?
10 years, I've learned a lot about. I've changed a lot myself, and I'm starting to realize if I want to continue my work with what we believe here, and I do want to continue it. I believe in entrepreneurship, and I believe in creating more opportunities to expand the community's mind about being in business for themselves and creating an economic flow for the community. If because at the end of the day, ain't nobody going to hire you if they don't understand you, or we ain't creating enough avenues for as far as inclusion and diversity with different cultures and races of people. You ultimately got to build it yourself first. So we in a situation with George, which is the CEO of True Colors, gave us an opportunity to help ourselves. I see myself speaking, going to different like prisons and stuff of that nature, and speaking to guys about change and really having a success mentality that they're going to need to have when they come home,
Yeah.
because it's a lot that's going to be pushing on guys that's coming home looking for second chances to provide, and that's a big part of what we're doing. And we're actually, I can't talk about who we're partnering with, but a big part of this new partnership is probation reform and justice reform. And
Okay.
if you purchase here, we're giving money to Reform Alliance. That's a big part of our mission too, is that try to change the narrative surrounding recidivism rates and stuff like that, and just creating more opportunity for guys that haven't had authentic opportunities in a long time. So I see myself continuing that work as an entrepreneur
Okay.
and like a public speaker.
Is the Reform Alliance, is that like an organization then?
Yeah, it's a
Okay.
nonprofit organization.
So as I said, the reason that I got a hold of your beer was because of your tap room manager there. Is your distribution at the moment only in the Carolinas area in the South, or how would one get beer from True Colors elsewhere?
The best avenue is to go to our partnered chains like Harris Teeter, Food Line. We're in Lowe's, Whole Foods. So, and you can go on our site at www.trucolors.co, and we have a beer locator. We're in over 1,800 locations.
Okay,
Um,
fantastic.
the biggest spots really is Whole Foods, Harris Teeter, Food Line, because we're expanding fast. So we're as many as counts as we can get to. We're getting to them. So, and we got distributors that distribute the beer for us to these accounts, and of course we got direct to consumer states as well that you can order on ThinkTrue.com, and you can have it right at your doorstep. We got that as well too.
Yeah, so
Mhm.
here in the Midwest, we definitely have Whole Foods in some markets here in the area. So that's something I'll have to check out the next time I'm near one.
Check us out, man. It's a great beer. I wasn't even a big beer drinker till.
So again, when I got that lager, it's got a great profile. It's solid. It's got this little bit of biscuity aroma to it, but it's nice and crisp and just, I mean, it's so clean looking. It's a darn good
Oh,
beer. So
appreciate you, man. A lot of work was put into to
I'll bet.
that.
I'll bet. So what's the plan? You've kind of alluded to some partnerships. What's the plan for expanding your portfolio of beer that you brew?
Right now, we're definitely going to keep the True Light Lager as the flagship beer. That's the one we pushing, the main one. But like I said, we do have another fruitier type lager on the way,
Cool.
and this one is we're pushing some efforts towards justice and probation reform and stuff like that, and the proceeds will go towards that. So we got some big things as far as working on these two main beers right now. But that True
Okay.
Light Lager is the flagship.
I love that idea also that the different variants that you come up with are going to be focused on supporting some sort of a specific organization. I love that
Yeah,
idea. That's really cool.
yeah, man, gotta speak up and continue to push our efforts where we can.
You mentioned the fruity lager. What kind of
Hmm.
timetable are you looking at?
Might actually be sometime in July. We never know.
Okay.
Yeah, we're working on that hard, and yeah, we're hoping soon.
Beer can be a fickle thing, right? It's all chemistry. So sometimes chemistry goes right, sometimes it does not go right.
Yeah,
So,
sometimes it goes wrong. Yes, I know. We know all about that. Startup. We know all about the resilience and keep going and failing and working it out, figuring it out, coming back. So yeah, I'm keeping my.
and what you just said there, that's really what life is all about, right? Working through, figuring out problems, collaborating. How can we solve things? I mean, what a better picture, right?
Right. I was in federal prison doing 3 years before I got a call from one of the founders and was telling me, man, you should come be a part of this. And I used to see the content on social media and be like, wow, only if they knew a lot of guys that they label primarily, I guess you could say in certain demographics, African American men, that's really out here banging and in these gangs in certain spaces is the ones that we really direct things, try to be leaders, try to wake up to your possibilities and change your mentality, and we got to ultimately help ourselves.
Yeah, yeah,
Unity, man, I tell you, it's just a real experience with partnerships we've gained, and that racism stuff and is an illusion in a game being played. And at the end of the day, we got to know the racial devices that's being played. We're family in there in True Colors, and if people adapt this type of culture and model, we get it a long ways ahead.
yeah. I'm excited. I just hearing the passion in your voice and just the excitement. I can tell that the program made a difference in your life, and now you're paying it forward, so to speak, and making a difference in lives of other people as well.
Facts, facts.
Last call.
It's nearly time to wrap things up, but first, one more for the road. This episode, I'm drinking Purple Punch from Hoosier Brewing Company in Greenwood, Indiana. This 5.5% ABV fruited sour comes from their Roll the Fruit series. The tasting notes say this: we are trying something new with this exciting addition to the Roll the Fruit series. All of the brews in this series are based on popular cannabis strains. This strain is known to have super grape flavors, so we cranked out the red grape puree in this batch and paired with a heap of blueberries and finished with a splash of Mexican vanilla. This fruited sour packs a punch. Without further delay, so as I pour this out, it pours a very deep Concord grape colored purple. It seems a little bit on the thick side. Oh, it's got a lot of great fruit on the nose. I definitely can pick up the grape and the blueberry. Oh, and just a hint of that vanilla. Oh, that's just so amazing. I'm gonna take a sip here. That is so good. So it's got that great sour puckering effect from the blueberry, and it's got that nice smooth grape flavor in the middle, and just kind of finishes with that Mexican vanilla at the end. Oh, this is so tasty. Honestly, I don't know what else I can say. It is sweet. It has tons of blueberry, grape flavor to it. I'm glad that they're using fresh puree instead of artificial flavor, because you can really get that massive punch that they talk about. And then it's got that little bit of vanilla on the end that just mellows it out when we finish up the drink. So, Hoosier Brewing Co., this is a nice tasting beer. This is the first beer that I've had from their Roll the Fruit series. So, Hoosier Brewing Company, I give this one a solid 4 tasters out of 5 on the flight board. Far out, man! If you've got a beer you'd like me to drink and describe, leave a comment below. If you're a brewer and have one in mind, direct message me on Instagram and let's see what we can do. Well, that's all for this episode of the 5 Beer Plan. With so many podcasts out there, thanks for choosing to listen to mine. Join me next time when I hop into the origins of the American IPA, share another hop hack, and finish my chat with Spree from TRU Colors. Remember to hit the subscribe button to be notified of new episodes. I'd love to hear from you, so please follow me on Instagram, 5 Beer Plan 2022, and leave a comment to let me know what your favorite food and beer pairing is. Be sure to support your local breweries, choose your beers wisely, and drink them responsibly. Until next time, keep walking your ale trail, and stay thirsty, my friends.